Today we're checking out JamZone, which is an app that has backing tracks, lyrics, and chords for over 60,000 songs. It's a really useful tool for performing live with backing tracks or for practice. Using this app, you can download and make set lists. You can make a mix of all the individual instruments, so you can mute guitars, turn down backing vocals, and stuff like that, for example, and customize your own mix. You can output a click track separately, so that only goes to your in-ear monitors and the audience doesn't hear that, for example. You also get chords and lyrics for all the songs. You can change the pitch and the key of the song as well. You also can change the structure of a song, so you can skip a section or repeat a section, and you can make the structure your own, which is really cool to do with backing tracks. They have different chord modes for easy, intermediate, or advanced, depending on your skill level. You can control it with MIDI. It has multi-tracking capabilities, so each instrument can go on its own output. So many things that this app can do, and it is available for computer, tablet, or phone. And yes, it is available for Apple or Android. This is great for practicing at home because you can mute your instrument and practice along, but it's also really great for backing tracks and performing live with backing tracks. And the backing track element is mostly what I'm going to be going over in this video. However, all of this will still apply to if you are planning to use this for a practice tool as well. I've received a good number of comments of people asking me to check out JamZone, so when JamZone reached out and asked if I could do a video on this, I agreed, and they are the sponsor of today's video. Just as always, all the opinions in this video are my own, and at the end of the video, there's going to be a special offer that JamZone offered for my subscribers, so be sure to stick around to the end of the video so you can find out about that deal. There's a lot to go over, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to do some of the really boring stuff first, just to get an initial setup of things that'll help you be able to follow along with this. And also, I'm personally going to demo this on the iPad, but you should be able to follow along if you're doing it on the computer or a phone as well. So don't forget to subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so go ahead and load up the app and let's do some just initial setup things first. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to go up to the setting icon over here, and I want you to set your default instrument. For me, it's going to be guitar, but if you want to put it to piano or something else, you can do that. And then start searching for some songs that you want to do tracks for, either in the Explore tab or in the Search tab. So I'm going to search for a song like Brown Eyed Girl, which probably everybody does. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click these three dots right here, and I'm going to say Add to Favorites. And I'm going to do that for a couple of songs. So I'm going to search for Ring of Fire. If you've ever seen me do any sort of vocal demo, it's always Johnny Cash, because that's pretty much all I can sing. And even if you spell something wrong, it still gives you quite a few suggestions. So you can see Stacy's Mom is right here. I'm going to add that to my favorites. So once you've done that, you can click this My Library tab down here at the bottom right, and you'll begin to see all of your favorites that you have saved as your favorites. Now what you should do on all of these, especially if you plan to perform this live, is click the three icon next to it and say download, because obviously you don't want to have to wait for a song to download when you're performing live. So go ahead and download all the tracks that you want. And then next up, go ahead and make a set list. So you can click this plus icon right here. Call it whatever you want, create a set list, and then go up here to the upper right, click Add Songs, and then add the songs that you want to put in this set list. And of course, you can reorder the set list if you'd like. But again, just do this just for like a few songs that you plan to do, just to get started so you can see how the navigation works. All right, all the boring stuff is out of the way. Let's go ahead and go to the main part of the app. So I'm going to click Brown Eyed Girl, and it's going to load up Brown Eyed Girl, and this is the main screen that you'll be on for most of this app. And I'm going to go over basically all of it now. So first, if you touch the screen, you can bring up play. You can pause, you can go to the next song, or you can go to the previous song in the set list. If you ever need to get back to your library, you can do that by clicking this button right here. And this will go back to the set list if you need to change it up or something like that. So let's say I want to load up Don't You Forget About Me instead. And now that song is loaded up. And the thing that I like is that when I push play, you can see that the chords change, and they change at the time that you're supposed to play those chords as well. You also have this handy grid to show you where the downbeats are and the quarter notes and stuff like that. And the lyrics are going to scroll as well, and you can see exactly when they come in, and you can always see what the next lyric is going to be, which is really helpful. You also can see where you are in the song up here, so you can scroll through to pick out a certain part of the song, or you can also just click in order to start at like the verse or something like that. Now down here, you can see all of the instruments that you have: click, drums, bass, 3 electric guitars, piano, so on and so forth. So this is where you can start to make a mix of how you want the backing tracks to sound. So let's say the bass was mixed too loud. I'm going to bring that down. The synth pad was too hot. I can turn it down or reset it back. I'm going to play electric guitar for this, so I don't really need a lot of guitar in it, so I can bring those down pretty low in the mix, or I can also just mute them and get rid of them altogether. You also can solo something so you can hear what it's doing. So if I wanted to hear what this guitar was playing, if I wanted to include it or if I wanted to remove it, I can do that. And then I can mix it accordingly. Same thing with the other tracks as well. I personally like to have very little backing vocals, if any, in a track, so I'm going to bring that down as well. But you can mix this to taste for whatever you would like. You also have your master slider over here for the overall volume of the song. And something you can also do is you have this pre-count right here. So with the click track, it doesn't solo the click track, but it will turn on or off the pre-count. So you can see if the pre-count is off, it basically just starts the song. If you turn the pre-count on, you can hear, you do get a pre-count before the song starts, which is definitely very helpful, especially if you're playing to a click track, which most people should if they're playing to backing tracks, in my opinion. So you can actually have 2 different controls: the click track for the entire song and just the pre-count click track. So right now this is set to pre-count is on, so you'll hear the pre-count click track, but then the click track will be muted for the rest of the song. Or I can unmute the click track and hear the click track throughout the entire song, which I actually prefer to do. Very cool, and it's smart they gave you so many different options. If you click this button right here, you can load some audio extension effects, so you can add more effects to the mix and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. Something else that's cool is that you can change the key and the speed of the song. Like I said, I'm a D+ singer on my best days, so I sing Brown Eyed Girl in E instead of in G. So I'm going to load up Brown Eyed Girl, and you can see this tuning fork right here. I can bring that down and set it so that's in the key of E. And you can see that all of the chords have changed to be in the correct key as well. Very, very cool. And all of the tracks and stuff will change pitch as well. And also, I can change the tempo of the song. If I want to slow it down, or if I want to speed it up. And then if you double click either the tempo or the key, it will reset it. Very helpful, so you can customize it to be how you want it to be. Now here's something else that's really cool, is that you have the ability to set the chords from beginner, intermediate, or advanced. So based on your skill level, you can set the chords that it displays. Brown Eyed Girl's not the best example because it's basically just 4 chords. So let's load up a song like At Last. I don't know, a jazz song. You can see there's all sorts of inversions, D7, flat 9, stuff like that. But if I start to change it, if I put it to beginner, it basically just leaves either the open chords or the 7 chords. Set it to intermediate, it starts to add some inversions, and then set it to advanced, and it will do stuff like D7, flat 9, and more advanced chords. Very, very cool that it gives you the option based on your skill level, because for me personally, I'm a guitar player. I know my jazz chords. I'm going to want to have this on advanced, but if it's like a singer-songwriter whose main instrument is vocals, but they know a few chords and just kind of want to strum along, they have that option. That's really clever. But on top of that even, they have a smart capo. This is really, really cool. So you can say use a capo, and it's smart about it, and it knows where to put it or what keys would be the most common ways to do this. So I put it on capo onto fret 5 because the song's in F, so it knows to put it on fret 5 to make it easy to play, you know, C chords and stuff like that. But it's also really smart because it gives you all of these options to put it on capo on 5, 3, 1, or 8 to make it easy. So even if you put it on 1, that puts it into chords in E, which makes it a lot easier to play. It's smart about the key that it puts it in with the capo, which is really cool. It's a really, really smart design. If you put it on capo on 3, now your opening chord is a D chord. They really thought that out, and it's not just, oh, any song is a capo. It's really smart about the capo frets that it chooses. couple other features that are really helpful. You do have a chord book by clicking here, and you can see the chords for the chords that are in the song. Although this is not the way that I play Never Gonna Give You Up on guitar, because the guitar is a bit different, but still very helpful. And you can go in here and you can change your instrument. So if I change it to piano, and now I click that, it'll show you how to play those chords on the keyboard as well. Definitely very helpful as a learning instrument. You can click this button over here in order to hide the mixer, which is nice because once everything is set, you normally don't need to see that. Cleans it up really nicely. And also, once I've made some adjustments, so you can see I'm going to make these adjustments to the mix and save it like that. I'm going to leave. I'm going to load a different song. Then I'm going to go back and load Never Gonna Give You Up Again. And it has saved all of those settings that I had originally saved. Very cool. So once it's mixed in the way you want, you don't have to worry about it again. You can also change the order of the song or loop part of a song as well. So you can see right here, I can click on verse 1. And what this is, fast forward it a little bit, click bridge right here, and it will jump to the bridge. And now, if I have it just on this where it's got this bubble around it, it's just going to loop it. So when it gets to the end, it's just going to loop that bridge until I disable it. That is really cool. There is one thing I don't like about this is that if the song is playing and I click chorus, it automatically jumps to the chorus. So just be careful of that, especially if you're doing it live. No matter where you are, you have to make sure that you put a bubble around the part that you're on and then jump ahead to the part that you want to jump to. Hopefully that gets updated in a firmware update. But other than that, really cool layout and makes a lot of sense and a lot of features that you get with this. So JamZone does a great job of giving you different options of how you want to route the audio. The easiest way to do this is with a cable like this, where this end plugs into your tablet or whatever is running JamZone, and then this side splits the signal. One side contains your backing tracks, the other side contains your click track. That's the easiest way to do it, but you are also able to do multi-tracking, where you can route different instruments out different outputs. I'm going to show you both. If you want to see the pros and cons for each, I do have a video going over that in detail. I'm going to show you the easy method first. So obviously I have to use an adapter with my iPad, so I'm going to plug that in over here. And now this side is going to have the tracks, and then the one that is red is going to have the click track. So wherever you want to route the backing tracks to, that's where you're going to plug this white cable into. So in this case, it's going to go to the direct box, which is then going to go to front of house. I always get asked, do I need a direct box? And I made a video specifically for that, just in case if you're curious, because I get that question a lot. And then the one with the click track is going to go into this headphone amp right here, and that's going to be for the drummer to listen to, or for yourself to listen to if you're a solo act. This headphone amp is by JamZone, and I also reviewed this one. It's a pretty affordable wired solution. This is just an example. I get asked all the time, can I route it this way? Can I route it this way? Can I route it this way? Whatever you want to route the tracks to, that's what this cable is for. Whatever you want to run the click to, that's what you plug this into. Another way to think about this is the white cable is what you want the audience to hear. The red cable is what you want the musicians to hear. And now in JamZone, you can click this routing icon over here, and it has figured out that I've plugged in a cable, and I can say, where do I want to route the audio of each stem to? It's a little weird how they word it, but output 1 is the left, and then output 2 is the right in this case. So output 1 is the white cable, and output 2 is the red cable. If you get a different cable, it might be a different color, but the idea is still the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to route the click track, and only the click track, out to this one. And you can just do that by turning these on and off, and they actually do this by default. So I'm going to route the click track out output 2, and that is going to go to the drummer. Everything else is going to go to front of house, and that contains all of the backing tracks. All the tracks routed to output 1, and the click is routed to output 2. So now I'm going to plug this in. I've just plugged in to my audio interface so that you can hear what each of the cables are listening to. So when I push play, you can hear the backing tracks coming out of the white cable. And again, I can mute stuff, so if I don't want drums to go out, I can do that. If I want to turn up the guitar, and so on and so forth, I get control of that here. And then just to show you what you hear with the red cable, that is the click track. And this is what the drummer is going to hear. But again, you can also set this, and you can say if you want the drummer to hear the click track, but also to hear the bass. and some of the guitars or something like that. So you get options of how you want to route this. This is actually really cool because normally it's actually just drummer gets just the click and front of house gets all of the instruments and the tracks. But with this, you can say, hey, I want to route these things out to the click track channel as well. It's actually really cool that they have that as an option. So JamZone is also capable of doing multi-track outputs. If you're not familiar with multi-tracking, that's where you can send each instrument out on its own channel or each groups of instruments on its own channel. So this is how I do it. So I have a cable like this. This is USB-C to USB-B. USB-B goes into my Behringer XR18 mixer. I can also do this on my X32 mixer. And then USB-C goes into my iPad that is running JamZone. Now this iPad right here is going to be what is controlling the Behringer mixer. I use Mixing Station. If you're not familiar with Mixing Station, it's the best app for controlling the Behringer mixers. I highly recommend it. But you can see that now that I've plugged it in under the routing tab, it gives me access to all 18 inputs on the Behringer mixer, which is really cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to assign all of these to be out a little bit different. I'm going to set the click track to go out output 3. Bass is going to go out output 2. I'm going to disable drums because I'm assuming that we have a drummer. And then everything else is going to go out output 1. So you can see this is my actual band mix right here, but the tracks, the bass, and the click are all getting separate signals. Just really quick how to set this up on the Behringer mixer. This isn't a tutorial on the Behringer mixer, but you go into the channel that you want to control. You go to config. And then instead of having it on the physical input, you set it to USB input. In this case, I have tracks on input 1, USB 1. I have the bass on USB 2, and I have the click on USB 3, just like I have it routed in JamZone. And again, you could take this further if you want. You could have guitars on 4, all the string parts on 5, all the woodwinds on 6, however you want to separate them. This is just the way that I do it. So really cool that you can do multi-track outputs in JamZone as well. And even if you don't have the Behringer mixer, this is a device that I've reviewed before. It's called the Track Rig. Same idea. You plug in via USB and you get 8 different outputs. And you can see when I plug it in and go to the routing tab, it has figured out that I have plugged in the Track Rig and it gives me access to my 8 outputs so I can route these to go wherever I would like. So if I wanted drums to go output 4 or something like that, and then the piano to go out output 5, so on and so forth, I can do it that way as well. So it all depends on what you plug into JamZone. And again, if you need more help with understanding, do you want to do multi-tracking or the single file method, even though JamZone actually takes it further with the single file method, don't forget to watch my video on that. And you also can control JamZone with MIDI. So click the buttons up here and then go to Manage Shortcuts. So click Add a Shortcut Set and call this whatever you want. I'm just going to call this just YouTube for this demo. So first of all, you can do this with keyboard shortcuts, which is nice if you're using it like on a laptop or something like that. However, I'm going to demo how to do this with MIDI. So I have my Luminite M2 MIDI controller connected. It connects wirelessly over Bluetooth, which is really nice. I do have a video going over it if you are interested, but any MIDI controller will work. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this play stop. And now what it's doing, it's waiting for a MIDI signal, and I want to assign it to this first pedal right here. So I'm going to click that. And now it has assigned it. So I also want to assign this button right here to loop a certain section. Let's do play next as this button, play previous as this button, hide the mixer as this button, and turn on and off the click with this button. You can see when I push this button, it will start it, and it'll pause it, start and stop. This button right here will loop the current section that I'm on, so you can see that it enables that. This will load the next song. This will load the previous song. This button will open and close the mixer. And then this button right here will disable and re-enable the click. So you are able to control this with MIDI as well, which is very, very helpful. Then last but not least, I'm going to show you just a couple other settings that you might want to know in here. You can record an input as well by clicking this input one. So if you wanted to record like a microphone from like an iRig or something like that, you can have an input so you can listen to it. And you can also click the record button down here if you wanted to record your performance, which is pretty cool. And then you can save it wherever you need to. So if you click these three dots up here, there's a couple of other settings that you can do. You are able to change the tuning of the guitar. So you can see that currently Never Gonna Give You Up, it's in B flat minor. And so the first chord will be E flat minor 9, but if you're in drop half step, you actually want to play an E minor 9. So it changes based on whatever tuning you're in as well. Really, really helpful for guitar players. You can also set yourself to a trumpet, and for example, you could set it to trumpet in B flat, and the chords will change accordingly as well. Very, very cool. Go to the saxophone and set your saxophone to E flat, and it gives you the correct chords as well. They really thought of a lot of different stuff in here. I'm going to put it back to the guitar though, because that's always confused me. You can also change the sound of the click track. I personally just like the cross stick, but you have a couple other sounds in here if you want. Under the player settings, the main things that you have in here is you can turn on and off the chords, the grid, or the waveform, or the lyrics if you want to have them on or off so you can make it look how you want. Personally, I think it's nice to have all of those on, especially the grid. That's really nice. Under the mixer settings, you can say the default mix, so it'll do any panning of the tracks that it already has, or you can set it to the stage mix, which we went over with the routing. It should figure that out kind of automatically by itself. If you do have issues with clicks or pops or something like that, try setting your buffer size higher. If you have latency, if you're recording or have a guitar or an instrument going into it, try setting it lower. You can also set a few things for the pre-count, so you can mute it by default, or you can skip it. I personally don't want to do that. You can do auto mute my instrument, so it'll auto mute all of the guitar tracks and mute the lead vocal track, which I definitely want on when you load it up. And then just a couple of settings to know about in here in the library menu. You can reorder the set lists in a different order if you would like, although I personally like to do that manually. But you can go up here and click the three buttons. Set list settings, this is where you can say automatically play the next one or auto play the next song as well. I personally have both of those on, but that's up to you how you want to set it up. And then back here on the main screen, if you go into your settings, you have audio settings. So you can set the audio quality to either standard or high. However, the high is only available in the pro version of JamZone. So now I'm going to go over the different options that you have for the pricing. So you can see you do have the free plan, the premium plan, and then the pro plan. And they actually word it really well. Premium is best for practicing at home. Pro is for live. Especially in pro, you can get the high definition audio. You can also use the MIDI shortcuts and stuff like that to control it live. And you get the pro audio inputs and outputs. Premium is $9 a month and pro is $18 a month. I know people aren't really fans of subscription models. I totally understand it. However, there's so many songs that are included in here. You have so many songs that JamZone has, and they're constantly adding to it. And for this video, I actually calculated that I've currently spent over $1,200 on buying individual songs for backing tracks as well. So if you're gigging enough anyways, $18 a month is nothing. But again, make the decision that works best for you and your needs. However, JamZone has been kind enough to offer a deal to my subscribers where if you use code ScottYuleMusic, you will get 1 month of the Pro plan for free. So you can test it out and see if this is something that works for you and your needs. So again, you can download the app and check out the Pro plan for 1 month if you use code ScottYuleMusic. But overall, I think it's a really well done app. I've done a ton of videos on backing tracks on this channel, and this is a really well designed app. A lot of it makes sense. It's all there on screen. It makes a lot of sense. I didn't think I had to look into the manual once to see how anything worked or anything like that. The layout is clean. It's a nice, awesome interface, and it includes a lot of the things that you need. You know, being able to change the key, being able to change the speed of the song, being able to mix it, being able to route it different ways, being able to download songs and save your mix and make playlists. Really well designed app. A couple of limitations with it or improvements. It'd be really nice to see what song is next in your set list. I think that could also be a really easy fix with a firmware update. Generally, the tracks do sound pretty good. The vocals are pretty hit or miss. For performing live, you're not going to have the lead vocals in the backing track anyways. So that's more for like practicing if you practice along with the lead vocals. The electronic drums sound pretty good. The acoustic drums can sound a little fake, but that's kind of true if you play with acoustic drums in a backing track anyways, so it's not that big of a deal, just something to be aware of. I did notice that some songs have a 4 count in and some of them have an 8 count in, so if you are performing live, just keep that in mind. You don't want to start too early or start too late by one measure. I think the main 2 limitations of this is that you won't have vocal cues if you do rely on vocal cues. Stuff like that is verse 1, ready, go, stop on 1, 3, 4, stop. Stuff like that. If you are interested in how to do that, I do have a video going over how to set those up, but not everyone's going to need that, especially if you plan to use this as like a solo performer or something like that. You're going to see the chords and the lyrics on the screen, so you know when to start singing and you know when to end because you can follow along with that. I think that's more for if you're playing in a band, so just something to be aware of. And the thing that I wish you could do, although I don't know if it's ever going to be possible on this, but me personally as a guitar player, what I like to do when I make my backing tracks is I like to remove pretty much all of the guitars from like the verses and stuff like that, but then I leave a tiny bit of rhythm guitar in the chorus, in the bridge, and the solos and stuff like that, just to thicken it up a little bit. So again, I'm still playing along with it, but it just adds just like a little bit more to it. You don't have a way to remove certain parts in a song. It'd be cool if that was ever possible, but again, that's just a small limitation. All of this is up to you to decide if you need those things, and hopefully this video I've gone over enough details so you can decide if this is something that's right for you. And if you ever do need help, they actually do have a really well-designed help page as well. So again, many thanks to JamZone, and if you do want to check this out for yourself, don't forget to use code ScottYuleMusic so you can get 1 month of the Pro plan for free, and you can see if this is something that's right for you and your needs. If you guys found this video helpful, do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button. It does a ton to feed the YouTube algorithm gods, and I would sincerely appreciate it. Also, consider subscribing if you want to see more videos like this in the future. I do a ton of stuff on backing tracks and in-ear monitors and stuff like that. Thank you guys again for getting me over 100,000 subscribers. I'm truly blown away with that. It means a lot to me, so thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. 2 more videos of mine to check out. One, I have a video on 10 different tips if you use backing tracks live. So if you plan to perform live with backing tracks, I would definitely recommend that video. And then second, I also have a video going over why I am pro backing tracks. I know that I will get comments just releasing a video that says the word backing tracks in it, with a lot of ignorant comments of people who have no idea how technology works and get angry that anyone else uses backing tracks. Don't listen to those people. And I have a video going over why I am pro backing track, and I think backing tracks are a great option for a lot of musicians. So you can check out both of those videos by clicking the links on your screen now. Thank you guys again for watching. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at ScottYuleMusic. I'm trying to build up a little bit more of a following over there as well. Thank you guys again for watching. Again, thank you to JamZone. Don't forget to leave a comment down below if there's any other cool music gear or apps you want me to check out. Thank you guys again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.